Okay.
Okay,
You hear us, Shelley?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay,
perfectly.
great. You
Okay,
see
I
the
just
screen?
messed this up.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, let's get started. Okay.
What page?
The page 70. Okay. So what, I have a question for you guys, on a riddle or a challenge. What one thing that's very unique that you see in like Jewish religious homes, especially like in the living area, like the living room or stuff like that? What's like different that you don't particularly see in other homes, but you for sure you see it a lot of times in like, very religious homes.
and you mean Hasidic homes?
Not particularly Hasidic, but like, Orthodox, I want to say
A picture of the
Books.
Rebbe.
Books.
Sylvia got it. Books.
What?
Jewish
What
books,
was it?
right? You see lots and lots of shelves
Oh,
with lots and lots of books. Most people in their living room, maybe they have a few books or a little bookshelf, but not like 100 books, right?
That's true.
Right? And like sometimes people are like, oh wow, you guys must be so learned, you have so many books. We're like, oh no, to me this is normal. This is how we grew up. Like,
Nice.
what's the question? Why? Why is that? And then another question is, if we have all these Jewish books, why don't we have like a Torah in our home, like a real Torah?
because you need the books to figure out and study about the Torah.
Okay, but why don't we have a Sefer Torah?
Too expensive. How many people do you need
For sure.
do all that?
But it's like a special thing if we're having all these books in our house, maybe a Torah too. I don't know.
Where do you keep
Interesting thought,
Where
right?
do you keep it? I mean,
In a special closet.
oh, okay.
Okay, so anyway, we'll be celebrating Shavuos next week, Shavuot, and it's the giving of the Torah, and we're going to learn about a special mitzvah. Okay, so the special mitzvah in the Torah that tells us that we should write our own Sefer Torah, our own Torah scroll. Okay, text 1a.
All right, I'll go.
Okay.
And now write this song for yourselves and teach it to the children of Israel. Place it in their mouths so that the song will be my witness for the children of Israel.
Okay, so very poetic, nice speaking, place it in the mouths, write this song. What is this song? What is this all about? Rambam says we're talking about the Torah here. So let's read text B, Maimonides.
I'll read,
Okay,
unless you want to save me for a longer one.
well, we'll get you back. Don't
You
worry.
can always come back to me. It is a positive commandment for every Jewish man to write a Torah scroll for personal use. The passage states, and now write this song for yourselves. This does not refer only to the song, but to the entire Torah, which includes this song. This is inferred from the law that a Torah may not be written in sections.
Okay.
So are they saying that every Jewish man needs to write his own Torah scroll,
Yes.
or
Yes.
have one written for him by a
Very
scribe?
good question. This is what the class is about. Okay.
Oh,
So it says it's in Parshat Hazinu, which is a very like poetic song like parsha. So that it says you should write this song. It doesn't mean this specific parsha, just this portion, but it means the whole Torah. Each person, each man should write his own Torah. Okay, and we also take from this, as the Rambam says, is not that you can't just write one section of the Torah. You can't make a Torah scroll and say, oh, there's only one book of the Torah, one portion of the Torah. So it's not enough to just write one on its own, but we have to write, each person should write their whole Torah, okay? Very interesting, okay? Because again, as I said before, we don't have Torahs in our home. What's this all about? So, and it says here, every Jew should write a Torah scroll for their own personal use. Very interesting. What is this all about? Because we don't hear about people doing this. What's going on? 2a.
well, if it's not a scribe writing it, is it still kosher?
That's a good question. See, all these things that come. We're going to discuss that. We're going to bring up
Oh, okay.
how it has to be written. What's going on over here? Okay.
Is it a real scroll, or is it a journal, or what, huh? Even if your ancestors left you a Torah scroll, it is a mitzvah to write your own, write one yourself. If you write the scroll by hand, it is considered as if you received it on Mount Sinai. If you don't know how to write a Torah, commission others to write it for you. One who repairs even one letter of a Torah scroll is considered to have written the entire scroll.
Okay, now we're going to have a lot of differencing of opinions. One text is going to say one thing, another text is going to say something else. So like we're going to say different. So there's a lot of different like kind of thoughts and opinions around this. But the idea is that each person should write their own scroll. Now, do they have to write the whole thing? You can't write part. On the other hand, Maimonides Rambam says, hey, you could, if you are just participate in it, or if you hire someone, that's fine. But not everyone is going to agree with that. Okay, so Maimonides, he lived in the 10th century. Okay, the Talmud, which was about 800 years before that, let's see what that says. That says something else. Text 2b, that comes before Maimonides. Okay, go ahead.
I will write,
Yeah.
I will read.
Yeah.
Okay, I will read in Hebrew.
Okay.
ואמר רב יהושע, בר אבא, אמר רב גידל, אמר רב, הלוקח ספר תורה מן השוק, כחוטף מצווה מן השוק. כתבו, מעלה עליו הכתוב, כאילו קיבלו מהר סיני.
So this is a very strong statement. It's saying, hey, if you just go buy a Torah, it's like you kind of like just like snatched a mitzvah. You just like did an easy one. Like, oh, you're just going along for the ride. But if you write your own Torah scroll, it's as if you received it directly from Mount Sinai, from Har Sinai. So it's very special to write it by yourself. Yeah, you could buy one, but it's much, much better. It's much more special.
And they say that it is the same like we got it
Right,
from
because
Har
if you were,
Sinai.
yeah, if you write it, yeah. So very special. So it's not the best thing to buy it. So that's, again, there's a lot of different opinions here. Maimonides, who came 800 years after this, or 1,000, said something else. Now let's see what Rashi says. 1 second. Rashi, text 2c, we're back to, yeah.
Is there someone on?
Yeah, Sima Zama, she doesn't like to.
Oh, I didn't see.
listens.
Okay. He performs a mitzvah. However, writing in Torah scroll is a much greater mitzvah.
Okay, so it's a much greater mitzvah to do it yourself, to write it yourself, than to just buy one, even though buying one costs a lot of money. Okay. Okay, so do you know anyone that writes their own Torah? Now, Shelley said, don't you need a scribe? Right? What else? So do you know of people who have their own Torah, at home?
Mhm.
You do, Shelley?
I do.
Know somebody. Okay, so out of all of us here, only you know one.
You don't even have one.
No. If it was a big thing, it was a thing that's like an important thing, a lot of, rabbis would have ones in their home, but no, we
If they have
don't.
shuls in their homes.
Then you have one, yeah.
How long does it take the scribes to write? It's
A year.
years, right?
Years,
And
yeah.
that's all they
Years.
do,
Yeah.
all day long.
And it has to be perfect.
Yes, so
Yes,
who's got time to do that
Oh,
yourself?
have blueberries.
I think it's a מקצוע. Not everyone can
That's
write.
what, right, that's what Shelley said. You need
Trade.
a sofer.
סופר.
Yeah,
oh,
sofer. Yeah,
yes.
a scribe. Okay. So so what's going on over here? If it was such an important thing that all of us should write a Torah, we'd all have one, right? We'd be telling you guys, hey, you guys, you gotta do this, right? But we don't. So what is going on? Why don't we see them in people's houses? And like people who even write, people who buy a Torah, people who pay for a Torah to be written, they don't keep them in their homes. They give them to the synagogue. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So what is this all about? What's going on here? Why, and then right, and then does that mean everyone has to become a certified to be able to write? Like, what's this all about? This isn't such a simple thing. What is this obligation? Did we just forget about this mitzvah? Okay. So when Moshe received the Torah, right, from Hashem on Mount Sinai, and Hashem dictated the words to Moshe. Moshe wrote it down, right? After he wrote the Chumshei Torah, the 5 books of the Torah, he also gave him over the Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral Torah. Okay, the oral Torah, in its meaning, oral, we don't write it down, right? But it was just for oral transmission from teacher to student. We just pass it on orally for people. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so number 3A, let's read about that. It's an easy one. Back to Shelley.
Teachings that are transcribed may not be recited from memory. Teachings
70
transmitted orally may not be transcribed.
Okay, so Moshe taught the oral Torah Shabbat Peh to his students. They taught to theirs. It was a tradition. Tradition means it's passed down from one generation to the next, one generation to the next. They didn't write it. You didn't read it from a book or from a scroll. It was all oral. It was all Baal Peh. Okay.
Oh,
So it was not
question.
written. Yes.
Okay, I don't know which one it is, but isn't there teachings of the oral Torah, the Mishnah?
So that's what happened. Yeah. So
And that's written down.
exactly. Let's find out. Okay. So by the 3rd century, the sages realized that if they don't write it down, you know what's going to happen? Everyone's going to forget it. People are going to have different, they're going to lose it. They're going to make up things. They're going to be all mixed up. And it might try, it might get lost and changed. And they said, hey, this is not good. At this point, we feel it's more important to write it down than not write it down. And so that's how the Mishnah was compiled. It was all the oral Torah, the oral things written down. And then from there came the Talmud, the Gemara, which is like even more expounded, more like, you know, discussion back and forth, which is the right law, what did we remember, what did the rabbi say, this and that. Now, why at this point did they have to write it down? Was it going to be forgotten? Because that's when the Jews were no longer under their own rulership. And so they were getting, you know, thrown around from here, they're moved around. And there was not one central like place of Torah learning and Torah study and Torah law. So because it was kind of getting spread out, the Jews were trying to go into the diaspora, you know, galut, that they had to write it down. There was no other way. So there was a great rabbi, his name was Yehuda Hanassi, and he documented the oral Torah. And that's how we have the Mishnah. And then again, I said it before, eventually from there came the Gemara, the Talmud. Okay, so let's read 3B. Interesting. Okay, are we up to Sylvia?
I just read.
Oh, did you? Or was it that just Shelley?
Oh, I guess I can.
I'll do it.
What, did you just read Shelley?
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, so now it's Sylvia's turn.
Oh, me.
okay.
Why did the holy Rabbi Yehuda transcribe the oral tradition rather than leave things as they were? Oh, they always were, sorry. Because he observed that the number of students was progressively shrinking while the difficulties were progressively increasing. The wicked Roman kingdom was expanding throughout the world and growing increasingly stronger. Jews were wandering about and relocating to distant locations. He therefore composed the Mishnah, a compilation of Jewish law for all to study so that it would be not forgotten. He and his court devoted their lives to teaching the Mishnah to the public.
Okay, so question. If you think of a number, I don't know, how many Jewish books, like Torah studying books, do you think there are today? Of all Torah subjects, how many books do you think there are?
Tens of
Million.
Tens of thousands, says a million? Lots and lots, right? Probably not really countable. Think like, you know, I remember when Amazon first came out, their commercial on maybe on television, I don't know, but on the radio was like, oh, we have such a big bookstore, we have nowhere to keep it. We have to use the Amazon forest. Like that's how big it is, right? So the same thing with the Jewish books, the Torah learning, Torah books. How many are there? We don't even know how many. It's too many to count, right? It'll take up the Amazon forest. But before the Mishnah was written down, before they started to write all these things down, the only thing they studied from was what? The Torah. The Torah itself. So people had to have a Torah. They actually used the Torah scroll and they'd open it up and they would study from it.
When you say they would study from it, how do you study the Torah without a commentary?
Because it was all passed down from their head. They said it's oral
Discussion.
Oh,
tradition.
but these are people who are already Torah scholars then,
Or even if they were teaching young children, they say, okay, this is this means this,
Okay.
this word, this.
So you have your Torah and
There was no Rashi, there was none of these explanations or whatever the law that you learned out of that pasuk, out of that verse, was all oral, was all tradition. And that is what they said, okay, now we're forgetting it. But they would just open up the Torah and start learning it, and they would have to know from this verse what the teachings were. What are you gonna say, Shelley?
I forgot.
Okay. So,
I was gonna say they learn it through discussion.
right, but they,
and
right,
debating.
right, but the only text they used was the Torah scroll.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So most of it was like wrote and it was
Okay.
passed on.
Yeah, it was passed on.
memorized, Yeah.
Okay. Or should I say discussion? Okay. So now, so today, yeah, after today with so many texts, then they just use the Chumash, the Torah, not even a Chumash, not even a book, but the Torah scroll, the actual Torah.
You mean like
Okay.
where they get the Dead Sea Scrolls? That could be from.
Well, they just had scrolls though.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So because of this, in a way, so people say the mitzvah of owning your own Torah, what is the real idea of writing a Torah? So what is this mitzvah that we're speaking about? Let's read what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is a code of Jewish law, and that was written in the 15th, 16th century. I guess, Anna, you're here, so you get to read.
Today, it is a mitzvah to transcribe the 5 books of the Torah, as well as the Mishnah, the Talmud, and their commentaries.
Okay, so Rabbi Yosef Karo, who wrote this Shulchan Aruch, which is the basic laws that we all go by today, says, hey, it's not about writing the actual Torah scroll. The main thing is you need to make sure that books are being printed. Jewish books are being printed so we can learn from them. Okay, so today, the Torah scrolls of Sifrei Torah are kept in the Aron HaKodesh, the Ark, and we only take it out when we read from them, and the minyan. And it's not used for learning from or anything else. Like actually, we can't just take it out anytime we want. We can only read it, right. We can only take it out A, if we have to fix it, or B, if we have to reading it because it's a day of reading in the Beit Knesset and Shul. Okay.
When did that change then?
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Oh,
Good question. Great question. See, you're jumping ahead. Okay, I'm glad you're all like thinking. You're actually paying attention. Okay, 4B. Yeah.
וזהו בדורות הראשונים שהיו כותבים ספר תורה ולומדים בו. אבל האינדנה שכותבים ספר תורה ומניחים אותו בבית כנסיות לקרות בו ברבים. מצווה עשה היא על כל איש מישראל אשר ידו משגת לכתוב. חומשי התורה ומשנה וגמרא ופירושיהם, להגות בהם הוא ובניו.
Okay, so it's a really big it's a really big merit, it's a very big support for people who actually do have the money to sponsor printing of Jewish books, like because as I said, so we don't have to each have our Torah scroll today. We don't have to write our own Torah today, but we should make sure we like to have Jewish books. So if it means writing them or it means hiring someone, having them printed, whatever it is, they should have Jewish books today. That's very important to have these Jewish books. Okay. If it's important that that today we just need to make sure to transcribe these books like the Chumash, the Mishnah, the Talmud, commentaries so children can study. We have some more questions then. Number one is, it's not also we don't see this big idea of transcribing Torah books for our own library. Like we don't say, okay, I'm commissioning a scribe to write books for me, or I'm going to sit and start writing a whole bunch of books, right? Yeah, a few people, like a few wealthy people, maybe like, as I said before, like will sponsor a printing of a book. Sometimes you'll see in a Jewish book, you'll see like, sponsored by or something like that, or but you don't have, it's not a common thing where people are commissioning books for their own library. Like, okay, I'm gonna, I'm having a private edition, special edition of this and this, of the 5 books, the Talmud, the this, the that. There's no like private collection of Jewish books that that people are very into. Number 2 is how could we just say, oh, okay, today we changed the mitzvah. We don't have to write a Torah scroll ourselves. We just have to have these Jewish books, or we just have to write, different anything that we can write. Like, how do we change mitzvahs? Do mitzvahs get changed, right? Like, let's say things aren't the same as they were whatever many years ago. Do we do the mitzvah differently now? No, right? We can't change a mitzvah. A mitzvah is a mitzvah.
Even with all the technology.
Right.
It's tough though.
Yeah. Okay. So how can we say, oh, we just change this mitzvah? Now we don't write a Torah scroll for ourselves. We just like
It is.
have the Jewish books, make sure we have the Jewish books. So if Hashem said to write a Torah scroll, how could rabbis change that and say, hey, we could just, as long as we have Jewish books and we have, to study from, we're good. What's going on over here? Okay, so how do we answer that?
Well, nowadays we just do the letter in the Torah. Is that what we're referring to?
That too, no, and I would,
Is that
that-
fulfills the mitzvah?
yeah, to a certain extent, yes. According to the Maimonides, but not according to all of the
Oh,
opinions,
interesting.
yeah, so we
I'm
mentioned that
sorry,
before.
do the what? The
We'll
letter?
talk about it at the end, yeah,
Okay.
okay, we'll talk about it, yeah, that there's a,
Okay,
okay, whatever, we'll talk about it at the end, okay.
okay.
So, we'll answer the second question first. How is it that we change a mitzvah? And that will automatically answer the first question. Okay. So the verse says to write this poem, this song, and that it should be on your lips. The Hebrew wording is, second. Oh, here, sima b'fiyam, like put it on their lips. Okay, the words of the Torah should kind of be on your lips. What does that mean? You should know it. You should have it like ready, right? You should like know the words of Torah. If someone starts speaking to you, like you know what they're talking about. You're not like, oh, what are you saying?
Mhm.
So you should be very well versed in the
Mhm.
Torah. Okay, and so it seems so. According to some opinions, it's seemingly this mitzvah. The main part of this mitzvah is the outcome of the mitzvah, as opposed to like what it says there. It says you should write a Torah scroll, meaning you should know it really well. You should know the Torah so well. Like if you write a Torah scroll, then you could study from it, and then you'll know it very, very well. Similarly, we have another mitzvah, 5a.
So at a Jewish dinner party, it would be good to know subjects so you can participate.
Not just there, like for
Or-
yourself. Let's say you're like walking down the street and it's like,
or-
oh, look, I found some money in the car. Am I allowed to just take it? What does the Torah say? Oh, yeah, it says this over here, it says this over there. And you could all just talk about it, and you'll know if you could just pick up that money or to find the owner or what to do.
Well, when Jay Davies and I were, no names mentioned, but when we were walking from your place, I found $20.
Wow.
Or the Shabbos, we're going to.
It was Shabbos.
In Shabbat? Wow.
I'm not gonna tell you what happened.
Okay. Anyway, so let's read. There's another mitzvah.
I love you.
I ripped it up and gave it half the night. That was, first of all, you,
street, like all the way home.
You know what? When I was a very small kid, there was like these, the records, the old days, the records.
Yeah.
So there was this rabbi who like had these like stories, like these children's stories. And one of the stories about this little girl who finds his dime on Shabbos on the floor. And then like it has like, and he's like doing all the different parts of the story. And he's like, that her Yetzer Hara, her evil connection saying, Sarah, pick up the dime, pick up the dime. And like how she has to like, behave and not pick up the dime for the Shabbos. Anyway, okay.
Put in mud and then would pick up the 20
Yeah,
bucks.
so you can move it in an unconventional way.
Okay, 5A. Let's read 5A.
I didn't do that.
Whose turn is it?
I'm not.
Are we not to you about yet, or you just read?
No, I didn't read.
Okay, 5A.
Okay. Thank you. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your homes and gates.
What is this talking about? What do we have to put on our doorposts of our home?
Mezuzah.
Right? Mezuzah, it doesn't say, it says we need to inscribe them, so write them on your doorpost. Do we actually write them on the doorpost? Is that our mitzvah? Or the mitzvah is to make sure we put it up, the kboa mezuzah, to put up the mezuzah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what the wording is, and you should write them on your doorpost. Who here wrote a mezuzah? Did you write a mezuzah?
No.
No.
Right? We just buy them and put them up. So the main mitzvah is, and when we say the bracha for putting up the mitzvah, for the mezuzah, we say likboa mezuzah. That's the actual mitzvah. We don't say the tov mezuzah, to write a mezuzah. We write to hang up a mezuzah, to affix a mezuzah. That's the right word. Okay. So just like the idea of writing the mezuzah by your door, the result is you need to have a mezuzah on the door. That's like what the mitzvah is. How do we get there? Someone has to write it. Someone has to put it up. So let's read 5B. Shelley.
Before affixing the mezuzah to the doorpost, recite the following blessing. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to affix a mezuzah, just as you said, affix. We do not recite the blessing when the mezuzah is written because the definition of the mitzvah is the act of affixing.
So let's look at our mitzvah with the writing of the Torah. The idea of writing of the Torah is not the actual writing of the Torah. It's having the Torah to study from. It's studying from the Torah. We want to be able to study the Torah. And so because of that, in the old days, they actually had to have a Torah. They had to write it, and then they had it, and then they were able to study from it. So the end result was, I need to study Torah. How am I going to study Torah? I need to write it. Okay, if I can't write it, fine, I could hire someone, I could, but the best way to do it was to write it yourself and to have your own Torah.
And is that
Another example of that is sukkah, right? There's a mitzvah to build a sukkah, but the real mitzvah is that you need to eat in the sukkah, or you need to have a sukkah so you can eat in, right? We say that the bracha that we say on the sukkah is sitting in the sukkah, not building the sukkah. So the end result is you need to study the Torah, you need to know the Torah. In order to know the Torah, you need to have that Torah. In the old days, they didn't have printed books, they didn't have the books written out, they didn't have the oral Torah written out. So what did they do? They each had to write their own Torah. They would have it now for safekeeping, and then they were able to study from it whenever they needed to study from it. It's an interesting history lesson.
Well, is that considered a kosher Torah, though?
If they knew how to do it all right. So right, exactly.
Okay, so they
Writing
have
a
to
Torah,
learn, they have to
you need to know exactly
sort
how.
of learn how to become a scribe. They have to get the parchment and all of the, calligraphy tools and all of that.
Where should they start, did it say?
So it's not just scribbling it.
Right. So it's actually a mitzvah to learn Torah, right? There is a separate mitzvah to learn Torah. There's another, the mitzvah here is to study the Torah from a book, from a scroll. Which nowadays, which we're going to speak about now, is that it's really about studying from books, from Torah books. So not from the scroll, but we need to have books in our home so we can actually study Torah. We can actually learn Torah. So it's nice to listen to a class, but when you actually see the text and you actually study the text, it's a whole different story than just hearing a nice lecture or listening to a podcast or whatever it is. So yeah, those are good. But when you actually see the words and you engage with it much more and you remember it much more. Okay. So there's actually a story of the fourth Chabad Rebbe. He liked to, when he was a young child, before he was an adult, before he was a Rebbe, he had a very good pastime, and that was buying Jewish books, buying, holy books for him. And if anyone would give him money, as a gift or this or that, he would save the money up. And then anytime the bookseller would come to town, he would want to buy books. So he heard the bookseller was coming to town. He's all excited. He told his father, okay, I want to go buy some books. And his father said, wait. Do you know all the books that you already have? Did you study all the books that you already have? And he said, well, Father, you also have a lot of books in your library. Do you know all the books that you have? And so he said, okay, test me, take down a book. And the young boy opened up a book, and he said, okay, open up to whatever, any page you want. And the kids told him which page number it was on. And the father started to tell him exactly what was on that page of that book. So, okay, take down another book. Take down another book, open up a page, what page number? And the father, who was the third Chabad Rebbe, he was able to just tell him what was on the page. And he said, see how well I know my books? I want you to know your books just as well.
Oh, I'm like that with clothes.
I have to do a Torah study. Okay, so
They have to be so smart.
yeah, but they put a lot of focus on this. Okay. Okay, so when we actually learn from the text, we say, okay, where's this text from? It comes from here. This comes from here, which came from, you start to follow it back, the chain of where that study came from, and it goes all the way to Moshe, to him hearing it from Hashem, and either transcribing it or orally transmitting it. And so when we think of wow, I'm studying this text. It's not just something someone just thought of, because every explanation on the Torah, every you know, what's it called? I always forget the English word, but every you know, every explanation, every expounding on the Torah, all is from the original Parsinas, from Moshe on Mount Sinai, hearing it from Hashem. Okay, so that kind of inspires you. Hey, I'm reading from this book, I'm reading this text, where's this coming from? And then you start to think about, wow, this wisdom has been here since Mount Sinai. And that is much more like, it kind of gives you like a big inspiration to want to study more, to want to keep the Torah, want to do the Torah. The Torah always was always accompanied the Jewish people. So when it was good times and we were in the land of Israel, it was with us. But even when we went out into exile, all the countries we've been to, the Torah was always with us. The Torah is kind of like our companion, our witness, to see that no matter what, we've always kept to it. We've always been with it. And this Torah, the same Torah is with us all the way back at Mount Sinai when we got it. So when we think of the Torah as kind of like our witness, our testament to A, to the Jewish people, and B, we go the other way around, this is the same Torah that was given at Mount Sinai, so it's an inspiration for us too. So even if you have a book on your shelf and you don't sit and study it all day, but you know you have it. So if someone says, oh, Baya, how do you know, what's that recipe? And you say, okay, no problem. I could just go grab my cookbook and open it up. I have it right here. I can always check it out. So the same thing with the Torah book. Hey, you might not know the exact answer. You might not know the exact explanation about something, but you know that it's in the shelf. So if someone asks you a question, or if you want to hey, I want to know more about this, I know I have the book. I can go reference it. I can go open it up and look at it. So it's very different to have the book in your hand or in your shelf than to have, let's say, just to have it online or to heard of it from somebody else. It's very important to actually have the book, the hard copy. Okay, so text number 6. Back up to Anna.
The reason for this mitzvah. It is well known that people behave according to what is prepared for them. Therefore, God commanded that every Jew prepare a Torah scroll to have with them so that they can always read from it and not need to walk to a neighbor's home to borrow it. The purpose is to learn to fear God, to know him, and to understand his commandments that are more precious and desirable than an abundance of fine gold. We were each commanded to write a scroll, even if our ancestors left us one. This is so that scrolls proliferate among us so that we can lend them to those who can't afford to purchase them. Another reason is that we each have new scrolls from which to study, lest we grow weary of the ancient scrolls our ancestors left us.
Okay, so that's why they had to keep writing the scrolls, because A, it might go bad, B, maybe someone else needed one, whatever it is. You should have a lot around. It shouldn't be scarcity, exactly. Okay. And then we said before, the benefits of having the actual book, of reading from the book, as opposed to just having it somewhere in your head of someone else telling it to you. Text number 7. The else turn?
Yes.
Oh, it's Yiddish. Okay. So
Okay.
we could do someone else.
Studying from a book is
Easier.
easier, and the deeper letters
Enlighten.
enlighten. It's
Like-
been
To bring light, to bring.
okay. It's shelled up from error because what we learn from a book is not easily forgotten. One can review it at all times. All this proved from the what is the name?
Concern.
That we might forsake it's what?
Forget, like
Forget our convent with God.
Okay, so we use
I thought you said foreskin.
No. Forsake.
abandon. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like an archaic word. No one uses it.
Forsake.
Yeah.
It's like a Jewish. It's used in Judaism. Yeah, it's used in religion. Right.
You'll
Yeah.
never hear it anywhere.
Forsake.
Okay.
It's true.
So to turn away to, what we say to
Abandon. You
to-
said
yeah.
like
It's not really used in
It's
common.
kind of like get
Trying to think of
away.
the Hebrew word.
It's old
Forsake
English.
is to-
No, it's It's just
Yeah,
not
let me
used,
write
like,
it
we
down,
wouldn't
yeah.
commonly use this word, it's
No,
not
I'm
for
not
someone
saying it.
non-native.
Actually, in the here, it says the word mishkach, whatever, maybe I'm here, mishkach, yeah, mishkach, yeah, that's what it says. Okay, anyway, oh no. Okay, anyway, so we can use our sight when we're, our speech, and when we and reading, so all the more sensory use for the mitzvah, the more it's like, it's ingrained in our heads, in our minds. So the mitzvah to study the words, so they're etched in our minds and they're ready in our tongue, in our mouth, ready in our tongues. So that's the idea. The idea is not so much that if you have to actually write the Torah, the idea is that you should have the books, you should be able to like really, really know them, know the Torah, know the explanations, know everything well. So now we know why why today there's so many Jewish books and they're filled in our homes, why we have them in our homes, because now we can write down the oral Torah, which before we didn't. And before they only had the scroll. And number two is the idea of writing the scroll, as I said before, is only that it should be clear in our minds that we study it. So today we have books that replace this, okay? So we need to write the books, we need to have the books available, but not particularly a Torah scroll, not particularly a separate Torah. Okay. Okay, so let us read text number 8.
Quick question. I just want to ask it. You don't have to answer it. Were the Torah scholars that we're reading now, it was from hundreds of years ago?
Depends which ones.
Okay, a lot of them. Okay. But
Yeah.
the more information we have and the more books, does that make us more like intelligent about, it could be Judaism because there's so much, I mean, back, to Maimonides, they didn't have this.
Right, good question, very good question. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Let's say I know you told me you've had a job, let's say, whatever many years ago, whatever you were doing. So tell me where did you have a job? Or what you told me, I forgot what you told me. Gap or this or that, you had like,
Oh, no, but,
where did you have a job? Well, it could be like a good job that you had, like whatever.
oh, a good job.
Like a good, like a corporate job. You said you worked in corporate.
Yeah,
what?
okay. I sold graphics to retailers,
Okay,
big retailers.
So when you had to go into training for that job, how long was that training?
It was a long time.
It was longer than what you had now.
Well, I mean,
by your new job.
well, there was this engineering, there was a lot of things.
No,
to learn.
not to train to know what to, not for the skill,
To
but like when
read.
you joined this company,
What did it take you? How
did they say, okay, you have, let's say, a week of like all these like, not classes, like, all the Zoom, let's say that's last job you just got, right?
This one I have?
Yeah, now how many you have now?
Oh,
How
okay.
much training, not training as in like what you have to know from before, but I'm saying, what they say, okay, to work in our
Oh, like the
company.
courses.
Yeah,
the
how long was that?
It was about 3 weeks.
Okay, and let's say when you had that other job, wherever you said you had, how long was that?
It
How many
could have
courses?
been, I don't know, 3 weeks.
That
4
long,
weeks.
same amount?
Well, okay, what are you
Or
trying
was it
to?
less?
No, it was never less when
It
I
was
worked.
never less?
There was a
Oh,
lot
boy.
of training.
Okay,
Like, yeah, you had to fly to the corporate and learn the machines and learn like printing machines. I
okay.
did printing.
How about like all like the, like, I'd say etiquette or like, the
Hannah.
equal,
I don't know, I don't know.
I'm
okay.
kidding.
No, I'm just asking.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
so what I'm,
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like another way of saying
I've
it.
done have been like a week.
Okay,
No,
I'm saying, but do you
What
feel,
is
let's
that?
say now, let's say in the last 10 years, the training is like, smile, say hello, do this, greet the customer, as opposed to,
Because customer service is now non-existent.
as opposed to, let's say, whatever many years ago, where it was kind of like common sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
like
of course.
on products, they have like, do not eat this. And it's,
Okay.
like, poison or something, and they didn't used to need that.
Right,
Fine,
so let's say,
okay.
when you had to take all those
They're spoon
equity,
fed.
racial,
Yeah,
whatever, equality
Oh, I
courses.
did have to
you
do
had
it.
to do all that
All
training.
about
Did you have to do that? Did you have to do that 30
homosexuality
years
and-
ago, 40 years ago?
No.
Why?
Health and safety.
You have to be spoon-fed.
Why?
This is like
There's
like
one-
LGBT.
Okay, Sylvia got it.
In their 80s.
Yeah.
Okay,
all the new
And it's
stuff.
an hour class.
Okay, now Sylvia
Okay, go
Sylvia
on.
said it
Okay,
very well.
Sylvia,
Say it
say it
again,
again.
Sylvia.
Exactly, that's what I said. Everybody has to be spoon-fed because they just don't know.
Okay, so years ago, when people were learning Torah, they kind of automatically knew a lot of stuff. Or things, it was more or less, I want to say common sense, it was more ingrained within them. And I think as the generations went on, I don't think we're more intellectual, I think the opposite. I think we have to be spoon-fed all this basic stuff that we didn't know, on one hand. Okay,
Okay.
so that's what I think, my whatever. On the other hand, there are stuff that is being taught so much more now. Let's say the whole idea of Hasidus. Till the Baal Shem Tov, they didn't learn Hasidus. Okay, they didn't learn like all this mystical and deeper understandings of the Torah. It was maybe a select few people learned the Kabbalah,
Yes,
this
and
and that.
pass after to the other people.
But it came to a point where people needed it to be able to continue like living a good life. Or like, or another example would be today would be like therapies. There's so much therapy today that people went through the Holocaust who had therapy, right? They all, survived to some extent or another. Maybe some people thrived much better and some people maybe didn't, but the bulk of there was no therapy in those days. It was very compared to today. Today,
Or the medication.
every single
Yeah.
kid, I mean, I'll tell you, I think almost every single kid does not finish high school without going through some type of therapy.
Mhm.
Because, so why? So on one hand, they figured out so many more ways to help somebody grow and help someone develop. So in a way, it's good,
Yeah.
right? On the other hand, it's because we need it so much. In a way, like I think we're emotionally weaker or whatever it is. It's a little, saying, yes, in the old days, someone went through bullying and they survived. They went through it. Today it's a different world. So it's a little bit of both. I
They
feel.
didn't have the resources.
But they
if you
didn't all end
Where
up.
did Rashi learn all of this?
They didn't all end up in like recovery homes,
Yeah.
recovery and wellness places, and
Okay.
rehabs. Today we all end up there. In comparison, I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
They have a media.
Even though we live in the most comfortable, easy time ever to have existed.
Right. So the same thing so on one hand, there were certain intuitive things that people knew then, Torah wise, and like when they studied and they understood this idea, they understood it in a deeper sense automatically. On the other
okay.
hand, they didn't need all those nuances that we need today to be able to
Interesting.
grow and
Okay,
thrive in
now-
the world that we live today. Okay,
Right.
that's my answer.
Those scholars
You got it?
are,
You
yeah,
understand the answer?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, you understand the
Great
comparison now?
question, Batya. I'm
Great
sorry, I
question.
took
Okay,
7
a
minutes.
great,
of
okay, but also a good
time.
comparison, sorry, right? You know what I'm saying? You got it, okay. Right, okay, so let's go on. Text number 8A, did we read that? No,
It's.
Is it my turn
Yeah.
again? Okay. All right, I'll be
You're on.
super fast to make up for that. Okay, this is because of the mitzvah to write a Torah for the purpose of studying from it. As the passage states, teach it to the children of Israel, place it in their mouths. It is through the Talmud and the commentaries that we gain a thorough understanding of the commandments and the rules. Therefore, there are the books that we required to transcribe.
okay, so it's very important to write all the explanations, all the things we need to know to really understand what we're learning. So in the old days, the teacher would just tell it to the student, and today we have our access to the oral Torah is all through these books, these explanation. And it's amazing also today as you see how many people like came back to Judaism or learning Torah without a teacher, just from online, just from books, it's amazing to see how people can learn and know and practice. Like I read a lot of stories about people who they started following mitzvahs or they started trying to do certain things only from reading or, they never meet another, like a rabbi or someone to tell them what to do. They just figured on their own, I have to keep kosher, I have to do this, I have to do that. Eventually, maybe they met somebody who helped them.
Oh, yeah, like the story your sister told us about some of the people way out where she
Oh, in
lives,
Argentina,
in
could be,
Argentina.
I don't
They
remember.
really knew, but
Yeah,
they
could be,
knew,
they knew certain
read.
basic things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we don't learn Torah how they used to learn Torah. We don't need the Torah scroll to learn it. But we need all the tradition of the Mishnah, the Talmud, and all the explanations of Shulchan Aruch, all the different explanations on the Torah to understand how to do it, and all the philosophical books of Torah to understand how to, to connect to Hashem better. X number.
Oh, what is Shahara? You said Shahara, what is it?
I didn't say
You said it so fast, and maybe I.
I'm sorry, I
I
talked slow.
must have not heard you properly. So what? Okay, never mind.
We did the Mishnah, the Talmud, the Shulchan Aruch,
The
Code of Jewish
Shulchan
Law.
Aruch.
Shulchan Aruch, yeah.
Oh, okay.
What is Shulchan
Code
Aruch?
of Jewish Law that has the actual laws, straightforward, very
Oh.
simple.
Halakhic
Shulchan, it's
Halakha.
table, Aruch, it's when
Set.
you
It's like what you do. You told me what you do. You make the fancy set tables.
You make fancy set tables.
I have a hobby.
Like tablescapes. She makes tablescapes. Okay.
It's my hobby.
Okay, we'll talk.
8B.
Okay, we can't know the oral Torah, the meaning of the written text and its rules from studying the Torah scroll. It is not like the early generations when they fulfilled the mitzvah by transcribing a Torah scroll because the explanations were transmitted orally. Moreover, they were forbidden to transcribe the oral teachings in those days.
Okay, so we're not modifying the mitzvah. The main part of the mitzvah is that we need books to study from. So we don't have to write the Torah scroll, but we do have to have books to study from. Okay. Okay. And as we said before, writing a Torah is not so simple. You have to know what you're doing, and you need a lot of interesting equipment. And we'll let Shelley do this one because it's a long one.
An authentic Torah scroll is a mind-boggling masterpiece of labor and skill, comprising between 62 and 84 sheets of parchment, cured, tanned, scraped, and prepared according to exacting Torah law specifications, and containing exactly 304,805 letters. The resulting handwritten scroll takes many months to complete. The sheets of parchment are sewn together with sinews to form one long scroll. A Torah scroll may only be written on parchment from the skin of a kosher animal. Before beginning to write a Torah scroll, the scribe must mark off the lines on the parchment with slight grooves. The utensil used for this purpose may not leave any coloring on the parchment. Only black ink is acceptable. Ink of any other color is not kosher for a Torah scroll. In ancient times, the ink used for writing a Torah scroll was obtained by boiling oils, tar, and wax, and collecting the vapors. Afterwards, that mixture would be combined with tree sap and honey, and then dried out and stored. Before its use, it would be mixed with gallnut juice. Gallnut juice?
No clue.
Nowadays, scribes prepare ink using a gallnut juice and gum. The black color is achieved by adding various tints.
Its opinion continues.
The scribe writes with a feather pen or reed pen, filling up its tip from the ink. An iron pen is not proper for two reasons. It may puncture the parchment. Iron is often used to make weapons of death and destruction, both of which oppose the intent of the Torah. The letters of a Torah scroll are written in the Assyrian script. The various scripts or fonts in which Hebrew is commonly written or printed are not valid. The lines must be perfectly straight and even. Numerous laws detail the precise figure of each letter, and if even one letter is missing, or some instances merely cracked or smudged, the entire Torah scroll is not kosher. A printed Torah scroll, even if its letters conform to the required form, is not valid. The scribe may not rely on his memory, but must copy the letters word by word from a kosher Torah scroll or a copy of a certified kosher scroll. The Torah scroll, and especially the names of God contained therein, must be written with utmost purity and devotion. It is therefore customary that the scribe immerse himself in a mikvah, ritual pool, before beginning his work. He also recites a blessing at the onset of his work and before each time he writes the name of God. Wow.
Gives you
Wow.
a little bit of insight of
Intense.
very intense. And yeah, so that's why all of us today aren't writing them.
Right.
And it takes about a year. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Um,
many do they write in their lifetime, do you know?
depends how much they want to do it. Depends how much, like how many years they do it for, you know what I'm saying? Because
Is it all the same? All the same, all the same. If there's a shul in South Africa or
It's the
shul
same.
in North Africa.
The same.
What do Reform Jews do? Does anyone know?
they do use the same type of
Really? It's the
Torah.
same.
I mean, I don't know if they use all these laws.
The
or if they
pronouns
say-
change.
So probably most
I'm
Torahs, I'm guessing, are written by kosher scribes, like,
Okay.
proper people.
Right.
That's
So,
interesting.
like
they
if
would
they,
do
they may still buy a Torah from a
From a
kosher
real
play,
Orthodox,
yeah.
okay.
I don't know I can't say for sure. I'm sure they do have some of their own
Most of the
Yeah.
rabbis,
scribes, and then they might.
I think only the difference between the reforming and the other one, it's the meaning of the.
No, it's how they, it's not so, the words might be all the same, but they might not use all
Use the same.
the special ink,
Yeah.
or the immersing of a woman might write it, you know what I'm saying, they might not do all
Are not all exactly the same.
the words are, no, the
Reform.
words will be the same.
The same. The
words are
word is the same.
At least as of now. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
have to
Are there, you mentioned something about a woman might write it?
No, we're talking about reform.
Oh, in the,
We're saying like,
Okay.
if reform Torah scroll is the same, someone asked that, so I said, probably a lot of times they're getting a kosher scroll, but unless they have their own people writing it, which I don't know how many of them do, but.
So it must be a man of a certain age.
No, but they have to be,
Bar mitzvah?
probably, yeah, but they probably have to be, they have to be trained, they have to have the right intent. So they can't be like watching movies while they're writing
No,
Torah
not
scroll.
at all.
They have to be totally
Concentrate.
concentrated in their head has to be in the right place.
It's
They have to go
also
to the
in a
mikvah
room, without.
before, they have to go to the mikvah before they start every day. There's a very famous story about someone who was having like problems, and they kept saying, check the mezuzahs, and everything seems to be okay. And they tried to go to see who wrote the mezuzah, and then they found the guy who was writing it. He was like doing shortcuts. He was, let's say, he would like put Hashem's to only like put all the places where Hashem's name has to go. He would put that in. Then he would fill in, or vice versa. Then he would fill in the rest of the mezuzah. So that's not okay.
Wow.
It has to be done exactly in a certain way.
Oh.
Wow.
So even the person writing if it wasn't written right, if God forbid, let's say someone's having problems, what's wrong with my mezuzah? My mezuzah looks good. And someone's, and we know that God forbid something's happening with someone, check the mezuzah to see what's wrong. It could just be even something like that.
And you can't buy it
Also-
on Amazon.
You could
No,
if you know what to do.
No, I'm talking about because
Oh.
they're printed.
No, they might have kosher ones on Amazon, but you have to know that. You can't just say, oh, mezuzah on
It's
Amazon.
very dangerous. to
Yeah.
buy them.
Yeah, usually people buy it in person.
You know, Shannon, my daughter.
Yes.
When she was sick, also we checked the mezuzah, her mezuzah in the room. It wasn't good.
it wasn't good.
No.
Crazy, really?
And it was the last mezuzah that I buy.
It was the newest mezuzah of their
I
house.
knew in the house.
Oh, wow.
Oh my.
It was crazy.
That is crazy. Every time like I'm at a Jewish thing, I always hear a crazy story.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
crazy
you're
story from
right.
Tonight.
Yeah, and we're more in tune, like someone who isn't like kind of on the religious side, let's say, they wouldn't comprehend, but we all understand like, wow, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's so
yeah.
weird.
Wow, that's amazing.
No,
Yeah.
I have a lot. I told to Sarah.
Yeah. No, I told her I want to transcribe her whole story.
I am. We are not religion in the house. Not religion like this.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But I was born in a family with a lot of
Very traditional.
yes,
Not
yes.
100% observant.
Shabbat. It was
Okay.
Shabbat.
Okay.
The lights, the
So is this
table.
like conservative, what we call conservative and what you might.
But there's no-
Masorti.
Masorti, they translate as conservative, but it's more like if they need a rabbi, they're gonna go to an Orthodox rabbi. So that's why we don't really say conservative reform,
Oh,
Orthodox.
no.
But I can tell you
But-
that I was born inside of me
Mhm.
with a lot of, I believe all of my life in God.
Wow.
So it's not that I'm living and I say, no, it's like this.
Never.
The water is water. No. For me, my husband is very intelligent and I'm also, but he's, in Hebrew we say maskil. He's like intellectual.
He's an
And
intellect,
he
yeah.
say, okay, it's plastic. No, today we walk and he say to me, it's incredible how people help us and the doctor. And I say to him, it's
It's
God.
Hashem, yeah.
He say to me, now he start to
Right.
believe. So he
needs to
say,
be rational.
he say, yes, but we did it. I said, no. זה שליחים. Slowly I said to him, you think that it's you, but it's
Saying
not
they're
you.
messengers from Hashem. That's what she said.
Oh,
So
the
I believe inside. I think that you don't must to do a show to be believer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I like the.
Is your family, is Sephardi or Ashkenazi?
We was born in France,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
is Faradi.
Sorry, yeah.
Already.
See,
But
they
all
used to be
the-
stronger.
But
Okay,
that's
Yeah,
the
beautiful.
education that I got.
I think we all have strong neshamas sitting here because we wouldn't be sitting here if we
Oh.
didn't.
I'm
That was my
I'm
little-
grateful every time that I come here to
Yes,
see you.
and-
Are you coming to Shabbat? Oh, we're having Shabbat this week, are we? Okay, good.
Well, ask Shannon,
That's my
perhaps.
RSVP. Are you coming to Shabbat?
Well, I guess I am now.
Until she says, oh, I'm too tired.
No, you've got to come.
Too
Come,
tired.
come.
No, it's okay,
Next-
because I'm working Friday and that means
After
like,
Shavuos, I'm going probably back to Pico Robertson, so you should come this week.
oh, for a reason or just.
Yeah, I just had a really good time last night. I went to Beth Jacob. I really liked it. Sorry for wasting
No
time.
problem. It's okay. Okay, so anyway, so that's why I don't want to just want like the idea of snatch a mitzvah, just like get an easy Torah, but if you realize all the work that goes into it, but I mean, on the other hand, it costs so much money to buy a Torah that all that I'm saying when you give I mean, that's how I think of it. Like you may have worked so hard to make that money, now you're giving all that money away to get a Torah. But the idea is a Torah is not just a simple, easy thing.
Snatch a mitzvah?
Snatch a mitzvah, as we said, snatch a mitzvah, like you just like easy, like you're just kind of jumping along. Okay, so
Number 10.
the idea of writing Torah books, you don't really need to write them, but the main thing is to have them. Let's read text number 10 says it, the Rebbe's words. One second, let me smooch it over here.
Is it me? Or
Oh, yes, you can.
No clue.
In the early generations, the commandments, and now write for yourselves from Deuteronomy, was to write a Torah scroll. This triggered many ancillary requirements, such as writing it with mindfulness on a tanned and scored sheet of parchment, writing the entire book, not just a portion, etc. In other words, the fact that we were writing a Torah scroll added many conditions, obligations, and requirements to the mitzvah. It is self-understood that when the mitzvah was modified to include the Pentateuch,
That means the Torah, the 5 books.
is that how you pronounce it?
Or the Tanakh. Yeah, but the two, I never understood how to pronounce it.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Mishnah, Talmud, and their commentaries, the requirements that pertain to writing a Torah scroll did not carry over. We don't need to write these books ourselves, commission someone to write them for us, or repair them. These books do not require such writing methods. They don't even require a human to write them. They can be printed by machine. So long as the book is in written form, even if it was accomplished by a monkey dancing on the keys, the obligation to study it and place it in their mouths from Deuteronomy can be fulfilled.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay, so right. So today the main thing is to have the books in your home and to learn from them. Okay, so we don't have to have all these requirements. Do it this way, do it that way. Do you have to write it like a scribe? You have to write it like this. No, the main thing is because the main thing is to study them. We want to have those books in the home so we can reference them, we can study them, and stuff like that. So can anyone think of another mitzvah that was done in the times of the Beit HaMikdash and today we do very differently? A substitute for something that they have.
Sacrifices,
What do you say?
Korban.
sacrifices.
Sacrifices, exactly.
Oh,
Sacrifice.
that's, yeah, oh,
Karban is a sacrifice, exactly. So, right, what replaces it? What would he do today instead?
Acts of loving kindness.
No.
I'm not
Study
looking.
Torah.
Sorry, Hannah.
They weren't all-
I know. I
Is
said
it
that.
the tool?
Prayer. Prayer.
Oh,
That was called avoda,
Avoda.
service,
Uh-huh.
and today avoda is tefillas, prayer.
Oh.
Okay, so now the original sacrifices, the original karbanot were the Kohen had to do it in the Beis HaMikdash. There's a lot of different requirements, right? So now that it's replaced by prayer, the minyan, does the Kohen have to lead the minyan?
No.
No.
No,
Do you have to have a Kohen in the minyan for there to be a
No,
minyan?
no.
No,
no.
but there is the prayer of the Kohanim.
there is, but to do the regular prayers that we replace, I say there was like the Karban Tamid, the morning sacrifice that they did every single day. Okay, it's done in the morning, let's say, whatever, the Tamid Shel Shachar, the Tamid of the morning. That, there's no, besides for having to do it in the morning, there's no other connection to the actual sacrifices. Like, the Kohen doesn't have to do it, doesn't have to be done in the Beit HaMikdash, doesn't have to be done, you know what I'm saying? It's just a prayer, and that's it. So the whole mitzvah, the whole idea of it, the whole changed. So the same thing here, the original mitzvah was to write the Torah and to write it all the right way, with all the ways we said we had to write it, but the reason of being that we should study from it. So today, because we only need to do the studying part of it, we don't need to have any of the other requirements for the mitzvah. We just have to make sure to have the books, or to be able to read it online, you know, whatever it is, to be able to study and to have the books to study from, to have the words to study from. So there's two things I want to mention. Okay, one is that we still try to fulfill this mitzvah to a certain extent, and Anna kind of mentioned it. The Rebbe came out with the idea that everyone should buy a letter in a Torah. So they have these like unity Torahs, they have these Torahs that are community Torahs that are written, and if you just purchase one letter in it, it's like you wrote
In
a
Israel,
Torah.
they do this.
They do it in Israel, they do it here, they do it everywhere,
Sometimes
yeah.
they call me and they say, we write in the Jerusalem, a Torah, you
Yeah,
want to,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
So you're
Or if
But you only have
contributing
to do
to
it once
the,
in your life.
you,
right?
yeah, you only have to want you, like, let's say if you're, let's say, we haven't had it in a long time here in our Chabad house, but let's say someone, let's say, was making a Torah for Chabad, or we decided we wanted to write a Torah.
yeah.
You give like the options where people could buy, you know, just a letter, they could buy a word, they could
Yes.
buy a book
To contribute.
and
for sure.
contribute, but they also get a very big merit for
merit,
having that
yes.
part in the letter.
Do
Yeah.
you get like a picture of a
Yeah,
letter?
even
or
sometimes you get a
whatever?
certificate. Sometimes you get a
In the end, they write,
Yeah.
this book was written.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It
Like,
does, you're,
I've been to a couple of them and it's very interesting.
oh, yeah.
I love to do
Yeah,
it.
it's really interesting to watch the scribe actually do it right in front of you.
right.
You saw
But the
that?
idea is also the
Yeah, you have,
not just like being at that's like that's called a siyum sefer Torah, a conclusion of the Torah writing, but
yeah,
and the bringing it into the show, but there's also the idea that you bought your letter.
If you come.
right.
As well, I will,
Yeah, they have
Right.
in New York, they have it all the time. Now,
And-
New York actually sell, they have these like, not sell, but they rent, like, you know, here you rent a moon bounce if you're having a party. In
it's
Israel and in New
beautiful to
York,
see.
they sell, they rent like these special trucks that
Yes.
go
And they
with
dance
the
in
Torah and
the
the dancing.
street.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, and you can, to participate in it,
They have music and
have
everything.
you have the mitzvah of actually like writing it.
Right,
Just looking at
right.
If if the scribe is going to be probably a male, so another male has to touch him, and then you can touch the other male, or they do it
No,
so
you
that
you can hold on to the
connected.
pen. You can hold on to the pen, the thing that they're writing with. Yeah.
I've never seen that, but
Okay. Anyway, so let's go text number 11.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Sorry,
long.
I'm sorry,
Oh, you
I
go?
must to go. No, yes, because
Okay,
we are
your husband.
traveling to the valley.
Oh, okay.
I
Oh.
think that they can. Oh, no, not yet. I think.
Okay.
No,
Yes,
you're not yet.
okay,
But
okay.
if they come, sorry.
Text
but-
number 11. It's also in Yiddish. I don't know who's turn it.
Yes.
Want to read it? That one?
Okay, okay, I'll
Let's
read
see.
it, I'll read it. In previous generations, this commandment was fulfilled.
It's not the cops, is it?
No, no, because I saw
think
light
that-
flashing. I saw
Okay.
light flashing, so
Sorry,
that's
I'm
why I
sorry,
went
I'm
over.
going.
You're going?
Okay.
No,
Thank you.
go.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
gonna,
go.
yes.
No, because my husband is here.
We have to leave. Okay.
Yeah.
Be in touch.
Okay.
We'll be in touch, yes.
Thank you
yeah.
very much. Yes,
Yeah.
you write me.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'll write
Thank
you.
you. Nice to be.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
very
coming.
much.
Cute spleen.
Okay.
thank you very much.
It's a
Continue.
kidney, it's a
Bye-bye.
kidney.
If you're
Okay,
comfortable
bye-bye.
to.
Yes,
and
yes,
you'll
yes,
meet
yes,
next
yeah,
time.
we'll be in
Yeah.
touch.
We'll be in touch.
You are
yes.
coming?
Yeah.
Shavuot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Sorry, I help you. I want.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll call
yeah.
you. I'll call you tomorrow.
Bye.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much, sorry.
Thank you. So we're not done. We're almost done. Okay. If you have
Okay.
any more questions, almost done, 11.
Okay, in previous generations, this commandment was fulfilled through writing a Torah scroll. When one wrote a Torah scroll, it was like receiving the Torah in its entirety at Mount Sinai for the first time. This experience inspired one to study the Torah and observe its traditions in their entirety. However, this applies to a degree in all places and at all times when we purchase Torah books and study from them.
So the Rebbe actually made a big campaign. One of the 10 mitzvah campaigns was that people should have Jewish books in their home. You should buy Jewish books. That's why, well, that's not why, because even before that, people had many Jewish books in their home. But it's like a mitzvah, a special thing to go out and buy yourself some Jewish books. You don't just have to have a Torah, Chumash or a Siddur or Tehillim in your house, but buy some other Jewish books that you can read from and you can learn from. It could be in English, could be, whatever language you understand. There's websites you can go to, or
Joke-
Amazon.
Jewish joke books.
Jewish learning books. Kahat Online, Judaica World, Amazon. Okay. So from the one Torah scroll that is written and the Tanakh, right? So from the Torah and then the Nevi'im, which is the prophets, and the Kesuvim, the writings that follow. Today we have unlimited number of books. Like we said, we could fill the whole Amazon forest, like the original Amazon ad. Is that there's so many Jewish books, there's so much Jewish knowledge, and there's so much that we can have that each Jewish person should have a few of them in their home. And it will connect any book that will connect you closer to Hashem. So reading these books and studying will give you a connection to Hashem. Text number 12. It's just okay.
My turn? My turn?
Huh?
I think it's Sylvia.
Which one?
12.
Well, no, she can read.
Yeah, you'll do 12, Sylvia will do 12, and then Shelley will do 13.
Okay.
And then there's anything after that, we'll do Anna.
From
Okay.
everything we have learned, we can understand how important it is to encourage every Jew to have Torah books at home, and if possible, a home filled with Torah books. At the very least, every Jew must have the basic Torah texts, prayer books, the Pentateuch.
Whatever. The Torah, the
Torah,
Tanakh,
including the entire biblical canon.
canon. That's the
Canon?
English word. Okay.
Oh,
I
canon,
think.
okay. Mishnah, books of Jewish law, etc. And we must study them and place them in our mouths.
Okay, so so every home should have at least have a Chumash, a Mishnah, Shulchan Aruch, which is that part of Jewish law. You can add a prayer book, Psalms, Tehillim, and a Tanya. And then besides for that, the bookshelves don't have to be super neat and all in order and perfect. If you look around at my shelves, I'm always embarrassed of them. But on the other hand, I shouldn't be, because it means that we're actually learning the books and we're always putting things out and taking things back and adding things to it. And the books should look like they were used and read and not look like they were like never
Yeah.
touched in their life, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So make yourself a commitment, whether it be once a month or once in 2 months or twice a year, go and buy yourself a new Jewish book. And not just that, but when you have the books in your home, it kind of gives a certain atmosphere in your home. It creates an environment. People come in, they feel the Jewish home. People in the home feel, wow, this place is where Judaism is learned and lived. If it's a home that has children or someone has grandchildren, the kids know and feel, as I said, I just like grew up that it's normal to have books all over your living room. I never thought like that people don't have that. Or like when Rahman, let's say, was a little baby, I'm sure he's not the only one. As a little kid, he used to try to pull the books off and try to, open them up just like, the adults would do. So that's a very good, good learning, good lessons, good modeling. Okay, so let's read text number 13. Shelley, go for it.
Ah, no wonder you saved me for this one. How far back there is a method to the madness, right?
Yes.
How far back can I trace my love of books and libraries? Israel's third president, Zalman Shazar, asked in his 1967 memoir, to the time, I believe, when at the age of 8 or 9, I was permitted on the eve of Passover to help my father air his books and dust him to make sure they were absolutely free of leaven. Writing more than half a century later, Shazar would still recall how his father's holy books were arranged, despite the lack of a written catalog.
Hold on one second. Just by the way, Shazar, if you're familiar with him, he was one of the presidents of Israel. He was actually named after the Alter Rebbe.
Ah.
Go ahead. 'Cause his family came from, I think he came from a, like some, somewhere back, a Chabad family. Okay, go continue.
It was self-understood that the Tanya, small and thin as it was, should stand alongside the large Torah or so well bound in black cloth, and in the vicinity of the Likutei Torah,
So all
which
these books that he's mentioning now are all Hasidic books written by the Alter Rebbe. Okay, continue.
which resembled the Torah or in size and binding. Then there was the old rabbi's large Siddur, 2 square volumes full of wine stains on the pages that contained the Passover Haggadah, and spotted with tears where the Rosh Hashanah Amidah prayer appeared. Anecdotal evidence of this sort, testifying to the impact of a home library on a child's development, has long been around, but recent academic studies conducted the years after the Rebbe's call concluded that there is an undeniably strong relationship between a home full of books and a child's academic success.
Continues.
Oh, more.
Mm-hmm.
One such study led by University of Nevada, Reno sociologist Dr. Mariah Evans, together with teams from the Australian National University and the University of California, Los Angeles, explores the effects of home libraries on the development and progress of children growing up. The 20-year study's conclusions found that no matter in which of the 42 countries where the research had taken place, no matter the culture, socioeconomic status, or the academic level of the parents, children with more books in the home will read better, achieve higher academically, and overall succeed more. A home full of books makes clear the values, culture, and atmosphere of the home for all of its inhabitants, children and adults alike. A home that respects learning will plant the seeds of education in the children raised there. Similarly, a home that reveres Torah books and teachings will have a strong positive effect on the family living within. The 2017 study, which expanded on an earlier 2010 study, further highlights that every added book has a commensurate additional effect on the child's education. Even when a home has already been classified as bookish one, there is no cap
1 second.
to the number of books, and each book acquired leads to even better results. Further, the very act of buying books proves the value of learning to the children in a way similar to owning them. Not coincidentally, the rabbi underlined this same idea speaking on 5 Tevet 5751, December 22nd, 1991, when he delved into the meaning of the campaign's name, Bayit Malei Sefarim, a home filled with books. He explained that this meant quite literally full, the ultimate goal being that every inch of the home would be packed with Torah books. To fill a home completely with Jewish books would require that it contain nearly every Torah book ever printed, the pursuit of which could never be satisfied. In other words, the appetite to which an individual approached building their Jewish library and the shaping of their Torah-rich environment needed to be like the pursuit of Torah study itself.
Wow.
Endless.
Okay, so it's great to have the whole worldwide at your fingertips with your phone or your computer or your tablet. And there's all kinds of books, articles, everything on every single Jewish topic, but a hard copy is always better. So obviously we can't own every single thing, but we should try to at least own some. So I think it's a really nice lesson for Shavuos because